So Omkesh, please add somewhere how much experience do we have? Okay, so at least interviewer or recruiter can get to know that what exactly experience do we have.
Okay.
So can you please tell me how much experience do you have? 2 years, 3 years?
Two plus.
2.4.
Yes.
Okay, so I think Saurav, you can start.
Okay, so hi Omkesh.
So
Yeah, so can we start with your introduction?
yes.
Yeah.
My name is Umkesh. I am a front-end developer with 2+ years of experience. I am currently working with Shekru Labs in Pune. I have hands-on experience with JavaScript and React for building web applications. And additionally, I am familiar with libraries like Next.js, Redux, Jest, Tailwind CSS, Material UI, etc. And currently, I am working on a mobile-based web application named Truplet, which is in the domain of food and health. It is a food transparency application which provides user with nutritional details, its ingredient quantities, allergens, warnings regarding the food product by scanning the product barcode.
Okay.
In this project, we have used for front-end, we have used JavaScript with React, jizzing library for barcode scanning, GraphQL for querying and mutations, Redux for state management, and Tailwind CSS for styling.
Okay. Okay, so you have the experience with Tailwind and another libraries as well. So we will be forwarding with the like. Can you explain what is React like? I ask this question to everybody to understand what is the concept they are having in their mind with React. So can we start with the question?
Means what is React? You are
Yeah,
asking.
yeah.
Yes. React is a JavaScript library developed for building user interfaces and primarily for single page applications. It
Okay.
it allows developers to create reusable UI components and efficiently manage the state of the application and to ensure high performance through features like virtual DOM. And it React emphasizes on component-based architecture with declarative programming. So it is easier to build and maintain complex user interfaces with React applications.
Okay. So, yeah, you gave a very good answer to this question, like declarative UI and everything. So, okay, can you explain what is the use case of uh, states and
Effects.
yeah, states and effects both?
Okay. Is you want me to differentiate between use state and use effect,
Yeah,
or
yeah, use state and use effect.
okay. Use state is mainly used for managing the state of application. It like state stores the internal data of a component, and when the state changes, the component re-renders. So for this dynamic changes or changes in the state, this changes in the state are traced by the use state hook. And for managing the side effects in a component, we use useEffect hook. And useEffect hook has two arguments, two parameters. Like first is a callback function, and second one is a dependency array. All the main features of the code are in the callback function, and in dependency array, it determines when the effect will rerun or when the effect will rerun. For example, use effect, we use state for managing the state, and use effect for network calls, data fetching, or handling events
Okay,
or subscriptions, etc.
okay. Uh, have you heard somewhere like people are preferring use effect? Okay. Do you have experience with using use memo, use callback?
I haven't used them extensively, but somewhat I have used them.
Okay, okay. So I won't be asking that question because I was going to ask what is the difference between use memo and use effect, because people are preferring to use effect instead of use memo in some cases. So you don't have the experience with use memo, so that we can skip. And
Actually, Miss, I have little bit of understanding. Can I just tell that?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Generally, when we have to use uh, generally we use both use state and use memo for state management. But when the complexity of state management is higher, generally we use memo. I'm going right?
Yeah, yeah. Use memo is there to memorize your application. Like
Yes.
if some value is changing
Yeah.
and is not
Yeah.
depending.
For
Yeah.
expensive
Yes, yes, yes.
extensive
Expensive.
calculation, we use memo.
Yeah.
And for management of simple states, we use state.
No, 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 no. You are going wrong in there. Use memo is there to just memorize your application, like application
Okay.
expensive calls.
Okay. I'm confusing with use
Yeah,
reduce.
yeah. No issues, no issues. You don't have experience with use memo, so you should not be answering with the wrong explanation. So it will give a hint to the interviewer that you go into questions which you don't have experience in. So you should
Okay.
be just answering no, that I don't have any experience. So use memo and use callback, I will just give you the context. You can read about it. Like use memo is there to just memorize your expensive calls in your application. Like if some value is being changed and you want to memorize until and unless the state is changing, that dependency is changing, and only on the dependency changed you want to update the data, you want to update the value of that use memoized value in your application. So you can use that. And in the same behavior, use callback is also there. So use callback is
Function.
memoizing your function directly.
Yes.
So that is the main difference between use callback and use memo. So you can read about it, more about it. So it is a very great concept, and if you answer it very wisely, very correctly, so interviewer will be very happy with you. So he won't be asking any another question on another counter question with this topic. So he will be moving forward with another one.
Means
So
they will just ask about the difference between use callback and
yeah,
use memo.
yeah. With your experience, he won't be asking any deep questions. So
Okay.
you can prepare with any online editors or anywhere.
Okay.
So it will be a good feedback for you.
Okay.
Okay. So we can forward with okay, 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 okay. Do you know about life cycle methods in React? Not the class based. I am
Yeah.
asking about the functional based.
Yeah. For functional based components, we use effect mainly for lifecycle methods in functional components,
Okay.
and it totally depends on the dependency array in the dependency array of use effect. If dependency array is empty, then the effect will run only when the component is mounted, initially mounted, and
Okay.
it will not rerun after that.
Hmm.
Then when there are some dependencies in dependency array, then the effect will run only when this dependency changes. And
Hmm.
if we do not provide any dependency array, then the effect will run on every re-entering.
Okay. Understood. Okay. So okay. So do you know the use case of using that dependency array? Like you explained very well. So I am just digging into it more. Like
Okay.
you are having a use effect. and there are multiple use effects in your component, and
Okay.
some use effect is not having any dependency array.
Hmm.
So what is the demerit of that? And if you are having some uh, array dependency array in there, so what is the use case of that particular array that you are using
Depends,
in
sir.
a deep
Okay.
down method?
Shall I explain with an example?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. For if we are fetching a data or making a network call in useEffect, then
Okay,
if there is empty dependency array, the network call will only go once. Uh, After
okay,
that,
understood. Okay,
yeah.
okay, okay. You have the knowledge about it. We can move forward because we have only 45 minutes for this call. Okay, so do you have the knowledge about use effect? No, use effect not. You have the knowledge about use context?
Use context API. Yes,
Yeah.
I have used context API in my project. So I am
Okay, so what is context API and what is the use case of that? Apart from the state management, I don't want to hear about the state management. Apart from that, what is the use case? How does it work with JavaScript?
Uh, firstly, we use context to like avoid prop drilling, so that we can store the state of the application at a central place, and we generally use the use cases of this context API for store and manage user authentication status.
Okay.
Also, like for managing the themes in our application, or for localization settings like language preference, or
Hmm.
any other user preference can also be centralized, etc.
Yeah. Yeah, that is the main use case of use context. Like people answer state management or whatever. So that is not the use case, particular use case of using use context, because if that state management is that heavy, we should be using Redux toolkit or something like that. So that is the main use case you have explained very well. So that is the use case of particular using use context in applications. And there is one more use case if you want to know. There is compound components as well, which we make with the help of use context. So you can read about it, and it takes help of Redux reducer as well. So with reducer and use context, you can create compound components that will be useful to make some very highly optimized and suspenseful components that will be secure as well. Like until and unless you are not clicking somewhere, that component will not be rendering even in the DOM as well. And with the help of lazy loading, you can optimize it at a very great standard. So you can use it. You can read about it, like
Compound component, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Compound components. Design pattern is there, so you can read about it. Okay. So what is the use case of higher order components if you have used somewhere?
Yes, I have used higher order components. Mm, shall I think for a half a minute?
Yeah.
Shall I think about that for half a
Yeah, yeah,
minute?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Higher order component is a function that takes component as an argument and
Okay.
returns a new component with added functionality.
Yeah.
So it helps us in code reusability, also
Hmm.
with enhancing components with additional behavior, and also in separation of concerns. So we just commonly use this higher order component with uh, authentication and logging, data fetching also.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
what coming to my mind.
Yeah, that is the good answer. But higher order components is something where,
These are pure functions actually.
yeah, yeah, that
They
is a
don't,
pure function.
and
Yeah.
they don't modify the original component which they
Yes.
received as a prop. Yeah.
Yes. It is just returning another function, another component. When you pass one component, it is returning that component with added functionality as another component. So
Yeah.
it is not changing your previous component. If you want to use it somewhere else as well, it is not changing that reference, because JavaScript is all about references. Okay. So
Yes.
it is not changing that reference, it is just returning another component, completely another
Mm.
component. So
New
every time
component
you
with
just, yeah.
new reference address.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
Everything in JavaScript is just reference. Okay,
Yes.
so everything is JavaScript in object format only. So you should be answering in that way. So I won't be asking any other questions if someone is answering in that way. So
Okay.
yeah. Okay, so as you mentioned pure functions, so what is pure functions and impure functions?
Uh, Pure functions are the functions which return the same output when we provide the same input, and uh, impure functions are the functions that gives us different output for the same input.
You can open any JavaScript editor as well. Like I don't want you to open any React editor. I won't asking any questions into the React coding concepts. You can
Okay,
open
so
JS
just
Fiddle as
open
well.
JS Fiddle, yeah.
JS
Search
Fiddle
for
as well.
JS Fiddle.
Suppose we have a button here, and now HTML, I have to create for the HTML, so I'm directly explaining this.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
If we have button, and on this button we have added an event listener which will execute this impure function, and when this impure function gets okay, I have not given input, right? Um, I'm somewhat getting confused because the HTML is not there. That's why I can just explain it. Maybe code is not perfectly correct, but suppose we have a button, and when we click on that button we are adding an event listener. So when that button is clicked, this will call this impure function, and we are receiving this count value uh, as input to this impure function, and we are increasing this. So every time the same, even though same input which is count value is received, but different output it is giving.
Okay.
So then this is impure function, and if we directly like every time we are giving same input as for example number 10 value, then it
Mm.
will always return, in case of pure function it will always return value as 10.
Okay.
This is the impure and pure function.
Okay. Okay. So you have used anywhere useref?
Use rep.
Yeah.
Mm, no, not use, because means I haven't used, but I have knowledge about use rep, and why do we avoid it? Like,
Okay. Go on.
useref is like uh, useref is used for accessing and modifying the elements by using the DOM. So instead of going through the usual React flow of using state and props for modifying the elements of DOM, modifying the elements or state. And why we avoid using useref is because it violates this React's principle that we should update this update the values or update the data using state and props. But useref just um, useref directly updates the element, and because of that UI and um, state cannot be in sync with each other. So because of that we should avoid using useref.
Okay. That is a good answer. So in continuation with that only,
Okay.
another question is, do you know about controlled and uncontrolled components like you explained useref? So You should
Yes,
be able to answer this question as well.
yes. Control components in React are the components on which React has full control, and uncontrolled components are the components in which React has no control or less control. And in control component, state is managed by React, but in uncontrolled component, data is managed directly by DOM, and it does not need to maintain the state. Also, control in control component, values are accessed by the using useState, but in uncontrolled component, values are accessed by using refs. And mm, control component may involve more re-rendering if not optimized, and uncontrolled components have fewer re-renders, and so they cause better performance. And control components are ideal for forms, like use case of control components, where we need real-time validation and conditional rendering. And control components are ideal for forms where real-time validation is not required. That is the
Okay.
difference between control and uncontrolled components.
Okay. Okay. That is a good answer with useRef. Okay. So, okay. What do you know about virtual DOM and React Fiber? How does it work? Like, how does the virtual DOM optimizes your application? And another question with that as well, like, what is the count of virtual DOM which is present in React Engine? So you
What
should be
is
answering both.
what is
Yeah,
the count of virtual
count,
DOM?
count of virtual DOM.
Okay, and shall I explain the process of virtual DOM?
Yes,
So
yes, you can do.
in that I can cover all these things. Firstly, when our component renders, React creates a virtual DOM, and when there are some changes, React creates another virtual DOM, and then React compares these two virtual DOMs using deeping algorithm, and uh, calculates minimum number of changes required to update the actual DOM. And this process is called as reconciliation. And after that, React updates the actual DOM. And are um, React Fiber uh, divides divides this working in separate units called as fibers. And React Fiber facilitates concurrent rendering um, by on these different separate fibers, which can run concurrently. And it also facilitates priority based rendering. So which task is to be prioritized for rendering. And it also facilitates interruptible rendering, like pausing the rendering and then resuming the rendering. Yeah. And what was the third question?
What is the count of virtual DOM which is present in React Engine?
Uh, it is two.
Yes, it is two. You're good. Okay, I have a feedback in between this interview as well. Like, you are good with your concepts. Like, nobody is able to answer these questions with that experience. So you're very good, but you have some limitations as well. So you should be covering those, and we should
Okay.
be moving forward with another question as well. Like, you should be reading about the use memo, use callbacks, because if you have this much of knowledge with React, the interviewer will be expecting you to know about use memo, use callback, use context, but use memo and use callback is you also should know about user
Okay.
reducers. What is the use of user reducer? So these are the questions he will be expecting you with this much knowledge as a 2.4 years experience person.
Okay.
Yeah. So, do you know about lazy loading and suspense?
Lazy loading and suspense.
Yeah.
Yes, actually they are used for performance optimization and like lazy loading and suspense. Mm, Like it is generally used for loading, loading only that part of the component which we required, and loading as per our needs, rather than loading the single bundle at at start.
Okay. And what is the use of suspense?
Mm.
What's
Suspense,
the
suspense,
meaning? Yeah.
suspense gives us fallback mechanism. So
Okay.
if our that loading fails, then the fallback mechanism will come into play.
Yes. 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 Okay. And okay, let me get more questions for you. Like, do you know about debounce and throttle in React? Like, I'm not asking how would you do that in JavaScript application. I am just asking about, do you
Yes,
know about the custom hooks and how to create that, how to create customly available methods in your application to manage the throttle, manage the debounce, manage some API calls. So these are the applications. So do you know about these, and
I
how does the debounce work in React?
yes, I know I have the knowledge about total and debounce, but
Yeah.
I haven't actually implemented them in our project, but I have knowledge. Debounce is like debounce ensures that a function is executed only after the specified time has elapsed after the event triggered for the last time.
Okay.
Okay, so that ensures that, for example, we use debounce in search bars. Okay,
Okay.
so on key press, we want that on each key press we don't want a new request to the server. So
Mm.
but we want that only after a specified time, after the keys press, that one single request should go to the server.
Okay.
So, for example, if you are searching for a cricket bat
Mm.
and on Amazon search bar, then we want that only after the user completes a cricket word, and if he has stopped for example 3 seconds or 5 seconds, then only we want that request to go to the server,
Okay.
and not that on every key press of CRI. So we use debounce for that, and this ensures performance optimization by reducing the load on server,
Okay.
and we use throttle to ensure that a function is executed only once in the specified amount of time.
Yeah.
For and we generally can I explain with example.
Yes, you can do.
Yeah, we generally use it in form submission buttons. Like if user has submitted the form and click this submit button, and we don't want him to click submit the form multiple times. So for that, we apply the throttle so that for example, in 5 seconds, even if user has clicked the submit button 10 times, but the form will submit only once. This is what throttle is, and we also use it for performance optimization to reduce the load on the server.
हाँ ठीक है. Okay, so okay, my counter question was like, if I'm typing cricket and if the time hasn't passed and I am writing another entry into that, I'm
Okay.
firing another event in between the timeline which is being passed to the API server. So what will happen? Will it take the entry or not with debounce?
Uh, it will continue. It will not send the request to the server. It will
Okay,
continue.
it will restart the timer or it
Yes.
will just continue
Um,
with that time only?
it will restart this timer.
Okay, it will restart the timer. Okay, so do you know about reusable hooks and why we use reusable hooks and why it is preferred, like to make reusable hooks in your application? And what is the main difference between use like custom hooks and the already present hooks, like the already defined hooks in with React? So, what
Okay.
is the main difference between custom and already defined?
Custom hooks and already defined hooks. Mm,
And why we use custom hooks? What is the main principle which we have to follow in that?
we use custom hooks mainly for centralizing the logic and not to repeat the logic in say or in every component. For, for example, we can use a custom hook for fetching the data, and we can fetch the data. Uh, you can fetch the data in this custom hook, and then pass on this data to different components where we want to use that data. So
Hmm.
rather than fetching the data in every component.
Okay. So, okay. The main difference between to just implement the reusable hooks, the custom hooks in your application is that where you can implement, you can utilize the already defined hooks, like everything. If you want to include any reducer state and anything into it, context API or something like Redux as well, you can implement use state, use dispatch, use selector as well in your usable custom hooks, and you can create your own hook with all utilizing all the hooks which is already present in your React. So you can create another custom hooks which is just doing everything you want to with your one function available in your centralized application. So that is the main use case of creating one custom hook to just eliminate using multiple hooks at multiple times, and it will just create your application bulky. Instead of that, we can use custom hooks, and that is why we prefer to create some debounce and throttle and API calls, everything into one centralized function, and we can use anywhere in your application, anywhere, anytime. So that is the main use case of that. Okay,
Okay.
so you should be remembering that, and you should be reading about it, that what is the custom hook, and you should create some your own custom hooks to just revise your applications concepts, your customizations concept, like you will do like this. So you should be revising this.
Okay.
You may be asked with these questions anytime, like if you are sitting for any tier 2 companies or tier 1 companies, so he will be asking you these questions.
Okay.
So you should be prepared with that. uh, okay, and do you know about anything about TypeScript? What is TypeScript and why we use TypeScript instead of JavaScript?
TypeScript we generally use for type safety. So if we are using if we are
Okay,
working with a
let me
team.
add one more thing, like you should not be moving forward with only TypeScript. I am just centralizing everything with React concepts only, so you should be answering with the React logic, like why we use TypeScript with React and why we use TypeScript instead of JavaScript with React. If you have used anywhere, like your own personal projects or anywhere you have used TypeScript with React, if you have used it.
Actually, I haven't used TypeScript in my projects, so I'm
Okay.
not completely aware about TypeScript.
Okay. Okay, you should a little bit learn about TypeScript as well. Like in the coming times, React will be using TypeScript only because of its typed nature and the protection which it is giving your application with the type interfaces and types and the another concepts as well. like you can just remove some types from your interface, and you can add some interface types into your already defined interface as well. You can make some temporary inputs as well, to just make your application a typed and a very robust one. Because with the JavaScript, it is like you can just enter anything anywhere. Like if you are having an object, you can just push anything into it and it will be accepting it. But with TypeScript will be giving you the error if you have written a very secure typed code. So that is why we use TypeScript, so you should be reading about it. And with React, it is a very great one. It gives so much of robustness in your application, so you should be reading about it. I'm not telling you to write a very robust application by yourself. You should be
Okay.
reading about it, like if you want to answer some questions of the interview. So just give it a look. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
We have only 5 minutes left with this meeting, so okay. Do you know about reducers? Use reducer.
Yes, I use reducers.
Yeah,
Use reducer hook, right?
yeah.
Mm, yes, I have
Don't,
little
I
bit
am
of
just
knowledge.
trying to not waste your time. Don't bring the Redux into it. Just
Okay.
explain the reducer. Use reducer. What does it do? Centrally do.
It's generally used for handling multiple state when handling of states in our component get very complex. Like we generally use it in while dealing with forms, because in forms when a previous state is next state is dependent on previous state, or when multiple states are related to each other, that time we use reducer hook to manage the state. As with use state, it becomes very complex to deal with this.
Okay. So, do you know what are the ways you can write forms in React?
What are the ways to
In
write?
controlled components only, not in the uncontrolled area. We don't use that much, so we should be focusing into controlled components. And what are the ways you can write the forms in controlled components?
Mhm. No, I have no idea.
Okay,
Like,
you can write forms with the help of any already
uh,
present libraries as well.
yeah,
You should
like
be
okay, Miss, you are asking how to write forms, like using we can use formic for that.
Yeah, no. I am just asking how, what is the ways you can write a form. Like there is four controls you want to give the user, and what are the ways you can provide those four controls to the user to implement validations as well, and take their inputs and process that input. So what are the ways you can do that to handle the validation, handle the logic, handle the event handling and everything?
That mm, no, I don't have any idea of this.
Okay. Okay, so suppose you are having an event generated in your input. So suppose there is a click event into your button, and you want to just stop it propagation in between. Like you don't want to execute any logic which is written with that function. So what will you do in that case to just stop that event logic, to just stop that propagation, and you should be moving forward? So what is the logic you will be giving to it if you want to stop that event handling in your particular component which is having that event handled?
We can
Suppose there is a conditional logic,
okay.
like तुम्हें कोई एक ऐसी चीज हैंडल करनी है जहाँ पे तुम्हारे पास कोई लॉजिक आ रखा है, और तुम्हें उस लॉजिक के बेस पे रोकना है क्लिक क्लिक के इवेंट को, और किसी लॉजिक के बेस पे तुम्हें रोकना है, तुम्हें प्रोसेस करनी है वो क्लिक इवेंट। तो तुम क्या करोगे जो किसी इवेंट पे वो रोके, किसी इवेंट पे वो प्रोसेस करे आगे?
We can use conditional statements like if else or ternary operator
No,
like.
no. Okay, I understand that, but there is another as well. You can just stop propagation of that
Okay,
particular event. So it will be just stop that propagation to go into their parent. Like if you are having that,
we can use
yeah,
stop propagation method, right?
yeah, you can use that. You can use that just to stop that propagation, and it will be stopping to go to its parent or child if you are using that event bubbling or event capturing. In
Yes.
that both cases, you can just stop that propagation that moment only
Okay.
in that conditions as well. So you should be
Omkesh
reading about,
read about stop immediate propagation as well.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So sometimes the question was stopping the propagation, correct?
Yeah.
Suppose you are triggering the same thing on 5 buttons, okay? And you have
Okay.
just added one place, okay? So it will
Yeah.
stop for that button, but for other buttons it will trigger. So there is an
Yes.
immediate stop propagation as well.
Yes.
And one question for you. Suppose I have an anchor tag, okay? And if I once I click on that, I want to open a model pop-up. I don't want to redirect it.
Okay.
So as a nature, anchor tag has needs a redirection URL, correct? href.
Means I didn't get the question. I
Okay.
have I
Suppose
have anchor tag.
you have anchor tag, okay? On click of that anchor tag, you have to open a model pop-up, bootstrap model pop-up. So how
Okay.
can you do this?
Okay. Uh, Let me give you the context. Like, if
Okay.
you haven't
I
got the
haven't question. I haven't got the question right.
ओके, देखो एक ए टैग है तुम्हारे एप्लीकेशन पे कहीं पे एचटीएमएल पे, ठीक है?
Okay.
और तुम्हारा ए टैग का क्या बिहेवियर होता है कि वो जैसे ही तुम क्लिक करोगे उसके ऊपर, वो तुम्हें कहीं और लेके जाएगा, किसी और टैब को खोल के वहाँ पे कोई और ही मतलब यूआरएल खोल देगा वो तुम्हारे लिए। वो उसका
Okay.
बिहेवियर होता है, ठीक है? एक ए टैग का वो इवेंट लेता है और उसको लेके जाता है दूसरे इवेंट पे खोलने के लिए। तो वहाँ
Okay.
पे तुम्हारा एक फंक्शन है क्लिक का, ठीक है? उस क्लिक
Okay.
के बेस पे तुम्हें एक मॉडल खोलना है। तो हो
Okay.
क्या रहा है कि जब तुम क्लिक कर रहे हो एक नया टैब भी खुल रहा है और साथ में तुम्हारा मॉडल भी खुल रहा है, ठीक है?
Okay.
तो उस पर्टिकुलर बिहेवियर को रोकने के लिए कि तुम्हारा टैब ना खुले लेकिन तुम्हारा मॉडल खुले, तो वहां पे तुम क्या करोगे?
Mm, we can use click event on anchor tag.
नो, लाइक टाइम कम है तो मैं सोचने का टाइम तो नहीं दे पाऊंगा अभी। ये
Okay.
यहाँ पे तुम इवेंट डॉट प्रिवेंट डिफॉल्ट यूज कर सकते
Prevent
हो।
default behavior. Yes.
But yeah,
Yeah. Got it. Just click now only.
okay.
या बस ये चीजें याद रखो, बाकी तो तुम्हारा काफी अच्छा है, ठीक है? योर
बेसिक,
कॉन्सेप्ट्स वेरी गुड।
हाँ बेसिक थिंग्स में थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम होता है बहुत टाइम,
हाँ,
लेकिन क्योंकि ना हम कोड लिखते रहते हैं करेक्ट, तो हमको ना कोड
Yeah.
वाइज पता रहता है, लेकिन थियोरेटिकल कभी कभी हम भूल जाते हैं, और एमएनसीज कंपनी को चाहिए थियोरेटिकल पहले, प्रैक्टिकल बाद में।
Okay.
So, यहाँ पे थोड़ा गड़बड़ होता है। ठीक है, आई थिंक वी आर ऑलमोस्ट हैव 2 minutes left. So Omkesh, do you have any question for Saurabh and me?
Uh, Means what to prepare for these basic things like.
Uh, do check the W3 School website for JavaScript, correct?
Okay.
Then JavaScript info is there. Try to read from that as well. It
Okay.
will help you. And if you want to go deeper in the concepts, try to use the media MDN website.
Okay.
Okay. There is a one. Let me share that link with you. MDN website. Uh, developermozilla.com. Okay. So this is the one website you can use. I have pasted in the chat.
Okay.
JavaScript info. Let me share. JavaScript. This one also you can refer. Okay. Second one also is very good. And the people who don't know about anything about JavaScript, they should start from first W3 school.
Okay.
Basic things only. Okay. Here, if you go down, you will get everything.
या
Okay. Any other question, Omkesh, from your side?
Okay. And how to deal with this some coding challenges they give in interview?
मैं बताता हूँ। देखो यार, ओके, शॉर्टकट तो नहीं है कोई भी, करेक्ट। डील
हाँ,
तो नहीं करना है, आंसर ही करना है, करेक्ट। हाँ या ना ही होगा, सो प्रैक्टिस, दैट इज
ओके
व्हाट द आंसर इज।
ओके
मैं
बिकॉज
तुमको ना कुछ कुछ स्टेट, मतलब मेरे पास कुछ क्वेश्चंस का लिस्ट है, मैं आपको ना मेल कर दूंगा, एक बार उनको प्रैक्टिस करो। ओके। ऑलमोस्ट
ओके
उसमें ना आपका जावास्क्रिप्ट के मेथड्स कवर हो जाएंगे, ऑब्जेक्ट्स के मेथड कवर हो जाएंगे, जो जो छोटा छोटा हम कोड लिखते हैं ना, एटलीस्ट
ओके
तुम्हारा सिंटैक्स क्लियर हो जाएगा। वो मैं आपको भेजता हूँ, मेल कर।
okay and one more thing like during the interview due to the interview pressure some easy things get forgotten like याद नहीं रहती वो उस टाइम क्लिक नहीं होती तो
हम्म।
फिर इससे डील करने के लिए
नहीं
कैसे करें?
नहीं, मैं बताता हूँ। अभी आपने इंटरव्यू, इसके पहले कोई इंटरव्यू दिया है अभी एक दो वीक के
हाँ
अंदर?
हाँ दिया है एक सर्विस बेस्ड कंपनी में हुआ है
ओके।
लेकिन अभी ट्यूसडे को एक प्रोडक्ट बेस्ड कंपनी में है
अच्छा। नहीं, क्या
उसके लिए
होता है ना, देखो, अगर हम बहुत दिनों के बाद इंटरव्यू दे रहे हैं ना, तो कुछ कुछ चीजें हमको याद नहीं रहती है। ओके, अगर आप फ्लो में हो, जैसे भी आज इंटरव्यू दिया, मे बी आपका अगर कोई मंडे को इंटरव्यू है, तो
हाँ
आज का इंटरव्यू और मंडे के इंटरव्यू में बहुत फर्क रहेगा, क्योंकि आपने आज कंसेप्ट सुने हैं कुछ कुछ,
यस
तो आपके
हाँ
ना दिमाग में रहेंगे, एक्टिव माइंड में, तो आप इजिली उनको गो थ्रू कर लोगे, एक एक बात ऐसे।
ओके
तो जितना प्रैक्टिस करोगे और जितना आंसर दोगे, खुद को आंसर दो, ट्राई करो, तो आई थिंक कवर हो जाएगा।
ओके ठीक है
I think we can close this call. Thanks,
Yes, yes.
Saurabh. Thanks, Omkesh. Yep.
ओके थैंक
Thank
यू
you,
सर
Umkesh, for
थैंक
coming
यू
this interview. You are very good, and you should be preparing to make yourself excellent or
ओके
outstanding as well, because you are
Yes,
targeting
definitely.
these companies. So you are good. You are good. But you should be practicing more, like to just excel yourself. Like,
या
yeah.
श्योर थैंक यू
Thank you. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
bye. All the best, Omkesh.
ओके थैंक यू सर